Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Falls Township Board of Supervisors meeting for May 14th, 2018. We'll begin with the salute to the flag, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Call the roll, please.
Here.
Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Ince?
Here.
Mr. Rocco?
Here. Let the record show Mr. Galloway had a family commitment this evening. He's unable to attend. The board did have an executive session just before our meeting. It also had an executive session 2 weeks ago. Ms. Gallagher, would you be able to give us a summary on that, please?
Certainly, Mr. Harvey. The board did meet this evening to discuss several matters of collective bargaining, matters of personnel, and matters of potential litigation. And the board also met on, pardon me, I'll get the date,
May 1st, I think.
May 1st, to discuss various matters of personnel and collective bargaining as well as litigation matters.
Thank you. All right, first item on the agenda is public comment. We have Mr. Mariani.
Sure, absolutely.
I'll explain that in about 2 minutes.
Oh.
Short agenda, and we'll say that way. Now, in keeping with this board's affection and respect for the environment, I want to suggest an idea to further improve and enhance our performance at the Falls Township Park. Now, I want you to think about a shift to clean energy. Wind power. Wind power is a low-priced energy source per kilowatt hour, and it depends upon, naturally, your wind source. And the most recognizable feature of this energy source are the blades in the tower of the windmills. Their cost is not bad. 1.5 kilowatt, you can get that for about $9,000. 2.5, $17,000. 5 kilowatt, 32,000, and so on. Now, another attractive attribute about wind energy is how effective it is in the control of the geese population in areas where the windmills are employed. Now, the chairman, he knows me. He knows where I'm
Figured,
going.
I saw where you were going with this.
Okay,
Yes.
there it comes. Now, this is due to the blades of the windmills slicing and dicing the geese as they approach to land or take off in windmill areas. Now, considering the energy savings, the modest cost of the windmills versus our continued cost of the geese management program and its questionable results, I might add, this board should strongly consider this proposal. So please add this proposal to the list of the many products, incidentally, with a proven record of success, every one of them, that I've submitted to this board to solve our geese problem. Now, this township has yet to employ any one of those products for a trial, even though you had planned to do it, you never got around to it. So I'm telling the board, stop trying to control a dangerous nuisance, which is the geese. Let's get rid of it. So, thank you. Add this to it. Yes, sir.
These pictures weren't taken at our park, right?
Oh, yeah, you know what? The one on the left, I think, is that guy from SNS. and the guy, the top right side,
I feel his
now,
pain.
I think that looks like my friend Brian.
Yeah.
Here, can you give one of these to Mr. Andrews?
I
Do you have
will.
an extra?
And the guy in the bottom is a friend of mine. I think he got bitten twice trying to pet the geese.
He provided us with pictures of civilians being attacked by geese.
Well, that's what's happening. It happened to you. Okay, guys. It's short. Let's keep it short and keep moving.
Yep. All right, thank you. It's the only name we had on the list, so we'll move on to agenda item number 2, which is Pharmacan, final land development at 150 Solar Drive. Mr. Gray?
Yes, as mentioned, this is for PharmaCann. The scope of the work includes constructing a new building and associated parking area to be used for a medical marijuana growing process facility. Representing the applicant tonight is Ms. Carrie Nace Post, Esquire.
Okay, Ms. Post, thank you.
Hi, good evening. We're here this evening for PharmaCann Penn Plant LLC. Also here with me this evening is Bob Showalter, the engineer on the project, as well as Jeremy Unruh, who's a representative of PharmaCann. The property is located at 150 Roebling Road. It contains approximately 32 acres and is zoned MDM, which does allow for a medical marijuana grow process facility by special exception. As you may recall, we were previously before you last year regarding this project, as well as for MLH, who is proposing to utilize the other half of the property for a grow process facility as well. Last year, we did receive a recommendation from the Planning Commission for preliminary final land development approval. We proceeded with the project. We were before this board in August of 2017 and did receive preliminary approval. We have now submitted final land development plans, which are here before you this evening, and are requesting approval of those plans. What I'd like to do is just turn it over to Mr. Showalter. He can give you just a brief overview of the plan to refresh your memory of what is being proposed. And then Mr. Unruh is also here. He is able to answer any questions that you may have regarding the operations or PharmaCann itself, if you'd like him to.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. The property is about 14.08 acres that would be leased from PharmaCann. They would not own this property. They would just lease it. The two buildings proposed, one is a 35,425 square foot greenhouse. The other is the 24,360 square foot head house. And parking along the front, which is a continuation of the existing parking that was in the prior user. We're also having maybe 10 parking spaces in reserve. We went through with the fire marshal to have a fire lane going around the entire structure. The trucks would come into both facilities and unload or load. There'd be secured type of disposal facilities for any of the waste materials. It would be, nobody could get into it from the outside. It's locked, so it's very carefully monitored. Public sewer, public water provided by USX. Appropriate numbers of handicap parking spaces to meet code. And all the buildings would be per township building codes, et cetera. So that's a brief overview for you. If you have any questions for me, if not, I'll turn it back to Carrie.
Okay. What was the second building? The first one was the greenhouse?
That's the processing facilities.
Processing.
Yeah, so they bring the plant materials mature into the processing where it's converted into various items for shipping to the ones that just, not distribute, but the dispensary. That's the one, dispensary. Got to get this jargon down. So yeah, that would go to dispensaries, but nothing is sold. It's all shipped off site.
What is the byproduct or waste that you talked about?
Maybe I'll let somebody else that knows more about it.
If I may, I'll ask Mr. Unruh if you could just give an overview of the operations and then answer any questions they have regarding the waste and disposal.
May it please this tribunal, my name is Jeremy Unruh. I'm the General Counsel and Director of Regulatory Affairs for PharmaCann. This particular facility here would be the fourth cultivation and processing center that we've developed. We've developed two, each about 65,000 square feet in Illinois. We've developed one, it's about 125 or 130,000 square feet in the Hudson Valley, New York, and this would be number 4 here. The head house The head house is so it's the head house, and then there's the greenhouses. The greenhouses obviously are state-of-the-art horticultural greenhouses where plants are cultivated, grown, chopped down. They're moved over to the head house. The head house is basically the traditional building where administration and security and storage and processing and everything else takes place there. With regard to waste, waste comes in a couple of different forms. First of all, you've got, and I'm starting kind of where the plants grow and go through processing and finally transportation out the end, basically the supply chain. Waste is clippings from the plants. So, I mean, that's like garden waste. It's biomass is essentially what it is. And the way we handle biomass is we collect it at the end of, actually, as the cultivation technicians are doing their work, pruning and clipping the plants, that matter is collected and it's put in color-coded bins outside of the various greenhouse pods. So that greenhouse will be divided into 8 zones. And so there will be color-coded trash cans, for lack of a better term, outside each of those zones. And then at the end of the day, those trash cans are collected and it's taken to a little secure waste area in the head house. Every so often, probably weekly or so, we take that biomass, because the problem is not that somebody's going to steal that biomass. The problem is that it's nasty, stinky stuff that we don't want anywhere near our good, healthy plants, right? So then what we do, the way we get rid of that, is you grind it up. Typically in this sort of operation, so once the plants are harvested, it leaves a root ball, which is basically the pot of soil with the little root ball in it. And we take that root ball and we grind it up with the biomass that collects, and then you can compost it, or you send it to a sanitary landfill.
Okay.
So that's how waste management works. The other, I guess, waste that you would see in the facility would be just general processing waste, like boxes of packaging. Well, we would recycle those boxes that the packaging comes in. Or if we were extracting oil from cannabis and formulating finished products like a capsule or a tincture or a vape pen, there may be a little bit of sludge left over. And when I say sludge, I'm talking about cannabis oil material. What we do with that is that gets in that waste area that I was talking about. There are essentially 55-gallon drums with solvent that goes into that solvent, and then it's hauled off to a sanitary disposal facility.
So does the plant itself leave the facility? Or is it just, like you said, is it just the oil, the extracts?
So well, actually that's changing now, because the medical cannabis program changes almost.
Just make sure about in front of the microphones, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Hunter, that's all.
Take it off if you want.
The medical cannabis program changes on almost a daily basis as the Department of Health sort of re-racks the regulations and tweaks and rejiggers things. So right now, it's only oil, meaning the plants that we grow. That's kind of weird. The plants that we grow are they're harvested, they're taken into an extraction area where they're put into an extractor, and that the extractor, it's essentially the same kind of process that you use to extract, say, vanilla extract from vanilla beans, or you use to decaffeinate coffee. You force through a solvent like supercritical CO2, carbon dioxide, and out comes the fats and the waxes that are in that plant. And so from that sort of raw material, that fat, waxy substance, you essentially refract it like you would refract petroleum. You take crude oil and you refract out turpentine and gasoline and kerosene and so on and so forth. Well, you do the same thing. You basically purify that oil into the finished product that you're looking for to formulate your products. And then you formulate, like I said, a vape pen, which is an inhaled device, like an e-cig almost, right, or a capsule or a tincture or any number of products. So those are what leave our facility. Now, my caveat was that the Department of Health has recently approved the use and the sale of dried flower, which is the green grassy substance that we all are familiar with as cannabis. And so If that is finalized in the regulations, what we'll do is we will harvest that, we will weigh it, prepackage it, wrap it in child-resistant, tamper-evident, labeled, third-party tested packaging, and we will distribute that to dispensaries for sale to patients, qualified patients.
Okay.
That was a good explanation.
Okay. Anything else?
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We did receive 2 review letters, both a review letter from the Township Fire Marshal dated May 11th, as well as the Township Engineer dated May 8th. We're certainly able to go through those letters if you'd like us to, but all of the items contained therein will comply.
Okay. Is there any change? You said you have preliminary from us in August. Is there any change in this plan from August to now?
I don't believe so.
No, it's essentially the same plan.
Okay. All right. Mr. Sullivan, any questions from you about this plan?
Mr. Harvey, that was my question.
Okay.
If there has not been any change to layout, then this is ready for final approval.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions?
No.
Okay. Is there any public comment? See no hands. This is Resolution 1810.
Mr. Harvey, if I
Yes.
can? Normally, the applicant receives any necessary zoning relief prior to coming before the board. The applicant did receive special exception approval for this a little over a year ago, which is only good for 1 year, so they've renewed their application in front of the zoning hearing board. That application has not yet been heard. A condition in the approval resolution at subsection E3 does require compliance with all regulations, rules, resolutions, and ordinances of the township. I just want to note on the record that that does include having the special exception approval prior to this property actually being used for this proposed use.
All right. So the motion to approve this doesn't have to also state over again the conditional use fund or conditioned on the zoning because you already have it in E3. Is that correct?
Correct. I just wanted to make it clear on the record that that is still a pending item.
All right.
I want to move for motion.
Sure.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 2018-10.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, items 3 and 4 both regard some improvements down at Quaker Penn Park. Some of this, or a lot of this is paid for thanks to open space money from the county. Mr. Andrews is here, and Mr. Gray can also say a little bit about this if he wants to. We're just going to kick it to Mr. Andrews.
Last year, the township received approval from the Bucks County Open Space Program for 3 projects at the Quaker Penn Park. Mr. Andrews from Park and Rec has 2 projects before you tonight. They include the compost toilet facility and a playground swing set safety matting. As mentioned, this cost is paid through a 75%, 25% allocation.
Excuse me. I think you left something under the chair. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were leaving.
Go ahead, Mr. Gray.
The cost is paid through a 75%, 25% allocation between the county and township. The cost for these purchases are through the PA Co-Stars program. And in addition, Mr. Andrews is here for any questions you may have.
Okay. All right. So Mr. Andrews, this is basically a composting toilet facility, so they don't have to run any sewer line or water line to it.
Correct.
Now, what's the maintenance on this? How does that work?
Maintenance, I was talking with the gentleman who has the facility in the system. It's supposedly maintenance-free for 20 years, other than throwing some wood chips in every couple years. He's willing to come out yearly to check up on it, if it's used correctly, obviously. But yeah, the savings on, maintenance and what we would have to pay for a running water back there, maintenance on, plumbing maintenance, I think would really be nullified by this facility.
Okay. And it is a restroom. It's a facility that has 3 restrooms, one of which is ADA compliant.
Correct.
It is going to have electricity run to it for lighting.
Right. Which enables us to add street lighting along there too. I was talking with Mr. Lawson from Public Works. Electric is part of the grant. We were looking at more of an elaborate electric setup for like possible field lighting at one time, but we have scaled that back. But we could add street lighting as you drive into Quaker Penn on the left-hand side and in the parking lot area, and that would enable us to put cameras up there too. I was talking with Mr. Markey about that. So we need light down there. That's always been a problem. So. And I think the project's a very viable project. We can get more activity down there. We could get revenue from the pavilion rentals because we get a lot of calls for our pavilions at the park. They fill up quickly, as you know. We do mention Quaker Penn, but it lacks two things that we always get told: playgrounds and a restroom facility. And we would save on portable restroom costs, probably about $1,000 a year down there.
Okay. All right. Comments or questions?
No.
I just noticed that the price was, the date has come and passed on the.
Yeah, I would have to check with that. That could be a slight increase on it. I don't see it's only been about a week or so. I would double check that, obviously, with Mr. Gray and before we move forward. But yeah, I can touch base with her. I don't think it would be a huge increase. Usually they do them at the end of the year, a lot of that stuff. So, but I would definitely, before we move forward, obviously. So, yeah.
Okay. Any public comment? I see no hands. All right, so then we are, I guess we can probably vote to both these together, 3 and 4. Is there a motion to authorize the purchase of a compost restroom facility for Quaker Penn Park and a playground facility at Quaker Penn Park? Total amount $237,180.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dent?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, minutes for for April 17th, 2018. Any suggestions, corrections? Everybody's good?
Excellent minutes as always, Mrs. Pullen.
Okay, is there a motion to accept minutes as presented?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, and, yeah, that's right, you were, well, you watched on TV
Saw
or
the
something.
video.
Yeah. Engineers report. Mr. Sullivan?
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. It's kind of a repeat from last month, but the fishing pier is 100% complete. I think last month we said substantially. Well, now it's 100% complete. The rail's in place, and it's open to the public. The docks at the Quaker Penn boat ramp have been floated, and that is also open for public use at this time. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot.
Okay. Comments or questions from Mr. Sullivan?
Fishing pier looks great, Mr. Sullivan.
Good.
Getting a lot of use. I see all the time down there.
Excellent.
We were down there inspecting the boat ramp too, at the Quaker Penn Park. The new
The whole new
kind of way you
the whole
installed
new
it
kind of way
seems
that's
to be
is
working.
being anchored to the shore. Yes.
Good. Okay. All right, well, actually, no, one question I did have for Mr. Gray. I know the kiosk, how are we doing with the kiosk at the boat ramp? I know there's some issues with that.
Yes, Mr. Markey was working on it last week. There were some concerns about the pricing. He was making some adjustments at the machine last week, and it should be good to go. If there's any issues, I'll be sure to let the board know as soon as possible.
Okay.
What about the cameras down there? Do you know the status of the new cameras?
He was down there last week as well, working on the cameras. Last I heard, he was putting the cameras up. He was going to ask Public Works to have their bucket truck to go up there as well. I'll get you an update for that as well.
We have to make that a priority if they're not done already.
All right, is there a motion to accept the engineer's report from April 2018?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, bill list for this month is the amount of $1,981,587.93. So approximately $2 million. Of that $2 million, 1.4 million is salary and benefits for employees. About $100,000 is state money in escrow, and there's also about $100,000 that is made up of fuel, improvements to the heating and air conditioning system, new vehicle for Parks and Rec, and the pier and the fishing pier and the boat ramp. So just those couple of things. It's Just say 1.4 or 1.6, about 1.6 out of the 2 million is just those items. So, comments or questions regarding the bill list?
None.
Okay, a motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay, we had executive session earlier. Chief Wilcox is here to give us our police report.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening. And this evening, what I have for you is a list of some important dates and some community policing items. And if you remember, 2 meetings ago, we started our Crime Watch page. Our Crime Watch page consists of traffic information, arrest data, and a whole plethora of things going on throughout the police department. You may say what the traffic items are. Deals with aggressive driving, any items dealing with the Department of Transportation, anything that would be germane to our township that would help our motorists. The arrest are statistical information dealing with drug arrests, so on and so forth. We also have information on there presently about the Youth Academy, which begins July 11th and will end on July 26th. If I remember correctly, Officer Yeager will end taking applications on June 26th, if I remember correctly. How you may access this page, it's www.bucks.crimewatch.pa.com/Falls Township PD. I don't expect anybody to remember that, but if you're watching on TV, get a pencil fast. The next, we're scheduling Coffee with a Cop again, but this will be an evening session. This will be at the IHOP restaurant from 6 to 8 on June 20th. We'll promote this through our Facebook page, through the newspapers, anything that we can get it out to the public, and we're starting promoting that right now. Also, I forgot to say that on the Crime Watch page, there'll be a link to our Facebook page. You hit on the link and it automatically takes you to our Facebook page. It makes it very convenient for the public. Our lieutenants have been in contact with Mr. Dents for Q for the Troops, for preparations are being made for June 1st and 2nd. We have 2 remaining DARE graduations. We have 4 graduations, but 2 with the Pennsbury School District, 1 in Disney on 6/16, and in Manor is 6/24.
It's 5/16, right? I think it's May 16th.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's May 16th, May
Yes.
20th, yeah.
Memorial Day preparations for the 24th of May. The parade will start at 1 o'clock. And finally, I have some very important information from the Department of Transportation. They just started a new program called Operation Yellow Dot. What that is you go on, you get with the Department of Transportation, and they'll give you instructions of how to put important information about your health that you would want if you were in a horrific accident and rescue personnel came and they see this yellow dot in the window, they'll know to go to your glove box and get this information. It's a new program. It just got underway, and if you go on with their website, they'll instruct you how to do it. And then I think there's a card you can download also to put in your glove box. Gentlemen, that's all I have this evening.
Okay.
Questions?
Comments or questions for Chief?
You said the parade's May 24th, is that correct? That's a Thursday.
I have Sunday the 24th. That was I had asked Mr. Gray today.
28th.
27th.
20, okay, I'm
Sunday.
sorry.
Sunday the 27th.
27th, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate
That's
that.
okay.
I have a problem with dates this evening.
Chief, any incidents at Route 1 where
Construction.
you had a construction down there? Has there been any issues
We
with
haven't had any
accidents?
incidents, but today we had people from the Department of Transportation, the chief of police from Marsville. He kind of got into it a little bit with the Department of Transportation down there today, and there was a little activity down there, and we had to.
It's a real mess down
Anybody
there.
get tased?
And everything, no, everything will work out. But we have our officers down there. It's a tough situation down there right now.
Yeah, do we know how long that's going to be under construction? It's a mess.
It's really affected Morrisville?
They're probably going
A
through.
little bit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to see him mad. He's a big
Well, Fish
Irishman.
Falls Township, I mean, it's backed up.
Oh, yeah, I know it
13
is.
South's backed up to Penn Valley Road.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Both lanes.
Especially in the morning if you're going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I avoid it. I go up 95 just to avoid it.
Right.
I go through Marsville. That's probably why he's upset. Do
just
you
not a
know,
happy
Pete, how long
camper
it's going to be?
I'll find out tomorrow and I'll let you know.
Yeah, maybe we could.
Chief, you had, the chief for the day's all finished. How'd that go?
We're not yet, Mr. Boraski. We still have 5 more chiefs.
Oh,
At the
cool.
conclusion of that, I will have to schedule it through Mr. Gray. Probably we won't make the June one, but if we could, I'm asking the board if you would allow me to bring the chiefs in like we did last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, good.
Cool.
It's going very well,
Good.
and some very good candidates we had.
Just one other thing. I was going to reach out to you this week or next week regarding litter, and maybe how we can enforce litter along some of the roads. Some of the roads are horrible. So I don't know if we can do like a sting, but it's bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lower Marsville Road in particular, the ramps are insane.
Most of the on and off ramps, 13 and just,
13's bad.
yeah, all of them are a
Disgusting,
problem.
yeah.
Yeah. And we did raise, I think, a couple of years ago, we did actually raise the penalty, raise the fine up to $1,000 for litter, not on the first offense, but eventually it could rise that high, so, but yeah.
I don't know if you gentlemen saw it over the weekend. They had the crews out all along Route 1 in our township.
Okay.
They were all over, they were doing the roadways all along Route 1 in Falls Township. It would just be a matter of calling them because we're part of the consortium to ask them if they could do the ramps also.
Okay.
Okay.
I just don't know their schedule right at the moment.
Okay.
That's okay. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, man.
All right,
Nice
thank you
to
very
see
much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have manager comment now, Mr. Gray.
Yes, the township received a letter from Joseph G. Jones, president of Jones Engineering Associates. This is in regard to a proposal for professional engineering services. He has submitted an hourly rate schedule for the calendar year 2018. The rates include a senior engineer of $125, engineer 2, $115, engineer 1, $105, engineering technician, $95, senior construction inspector, $100, a construction inspector, $85, and a technical assistant, $75. The board is asked to consider this proposal from Jones Engineering Associates.
Okay, Mr. Jones was an employee of another engineering firm, has a lot of experience in Falls Township and does quite a lot of work for us. I think we're looking at really kind of a special projects engineer, T&M, and Mr. Sullivan would stay as our township engineer and work with Jones Engineering. We've had conversations with Mr. Sullivan, and he has no issue with that at all. He works very well with Mr. Jones, and we don't see any kind of interruption to our services. Is there any questions?
No, the fee schedule, I think, aligns to the other engineers
Yeah,
as well.
I think so. I think it's the same.
Yeah.
We're very close to. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Okay. All right, is there a motion then to name Jones Engineering as special projects engineer using the fee schedule in the letter dated May 1st?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Township has several escrow release considerations for the board. They include St. Joseph's Court, located at 9172 New Falls Road. This is escrow release number 4 and 5. Escrow release number 4 is $85,058.10, and escrow release number 5 is $109,949.94. These are both a letter of credit, and also Peruzzi Family Limited Partnership, or Peruzzi Mazda, 140 Lincoln Highway. This is a letter of credit in the amount of $261,313.20. This is escrow release number 1 and also the final release. Based on T&M's inspection of these projects, the work has been completed to their satisfactions, and the amounts are recommended for release by T&M Associates.
Okay, comments or questions for Mr. Sullivan?
For St. Joe's, is it mostly land development stuff, pushing dirt around?
Yeah, they're trying to get the roadway boxed out and ready for,
Yeah, but that's what
Okay.
the release is for?
that's correct.
Yeah, okay. That's all I had, thank you.
Others?
No.
Okay, is there a motion then to approve the escrow releases for St. Joseph's Court and Peruzzi Family Limited Partnership?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Vince?
Yes.
Mr. Rucker?
Yes.
Finally, I just want to announce several new businesses that open up in Falls Township during the month of April. They include Brook Stratton Photography, located at 423 South Oxford Valley Road in Fairless Hills, and TW Construction, 1700 South Pennsylvania Avenue in Marsville. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, all right, board comments. Mr. Brasky?
No comment, thanks.
Okay. Mr. Dents?
Yes, I'm just going to remind everyone that before our next meeting, June 1st and 2nd, is Q for the Troops and Family Festival. And Friday night is the Q for the Troops begins, but the real party starts on Saturday with the Family Festival. Opens at noon, ends with fireworks. It's a free event. The only thing that's not free is the food. I think we have about 50 vendors this year. Food trucks, all kinds of stuff. But, you know, the rides for the kids, face painter, magician. There's a petting zoo this year, which is new. We'll have a demonstration by the canines, the police canines, all kinds of stuff going on. It's a great event. All the schedule and details can be found on the website or Facebook. Hope to see everyone there.
Are there any geese in the petting zoo?
No geese. Unless Mr. Mariani shows up, I'll go find one for him.
All right, that's good.
I
Yeah, it's
honestly don't know what is going to be in the petting zoo.
But there's not going to be geese.
It's
not
not, I'm
geese.
sure there won't be geese.
It's not your dog, right? It's not just
There won't
Clinton?
be Quentin.
No, okay.
I'm not providing the petting zoo.
All right. Mr. Rocco?
No, I have none, thanks.
Okay. A couple of things. We do have an opening on our police pension committee. We had a resident who has a lot of experience in this area, Suzanne Hannigan, has put in for appointment to that committee. It's the only opening we have on it, and I'll ask for a motion to, it's annual, so I'll ask for a motion to appoint Suzanne Hannigan to the police pension committee.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And we did appoint recently an individual to the Park and Rec Board who has really not been attending any of the events, and we've tried several times to contact the person and to find out what the issue is, and haven't been able to have any contact via phone or email. And so it's sort of awkward, but we do have some people waiting for spots on that board, and so I guess I'll make a sort of combined motion to have that person removed from the board and replace that person with Ms. Rochelle McIntyre, who has been going to a lot of the events and volunteering at every event she can find, and has a lot of experience with this particular area in terms of children and youth. So I'll make a motion, that motion really, to replace, I don't want to say the person's name, just for whatever reasons, no need to do that, but replace the one individual who hasn't been coming to any of the meetings or doing have any contact with us, and replace him with Rochelle McIntyre on the Park and Rec Board.
Second.
There's a motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And again, just with a comment about Memorial Day, again, on the 28th of this month, a day we remember those who gave their lives for this country, going all the way back throughout our history. Hopefully there'll be a day when we're not adding more names and numbers to that list, but we obviously keep in memory all those who made that sacrifice for us. And so hopefully you can come out and take a look at the parade and keep those people in your minds and their families as well. It's always the first day, unofficial start of summer, but we also want to keep in mind the reason for the holiday. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Good luck.